Carlo Ancelotti's AC Milan is widely regarded as one of the greatest football teams from the 2000s. We've all seen that 2005 team which played Liverpool in the Champions League final. From Maldini to Pirlo, Kaká, Seedorf and Crespo, I guarantee you that at least one in every two players has had an icon card in FIFA at some point or another. Oh, not FIFA, EAFC. But what if I told you that if it wasn't for the injury of one player, we might have seen a different version of the Rossoneri during that era? Back in the year 2000, Fernando Redondo had just completed his move from Real Madrid to AC Milan. At the time, he's one of the best deep-line playmakers in world football. He had just won his second Champions League with Los Blancos in a season where he nutmegged Henningberg at Old Trafford. This man was a serious baller. For approximately £30 million, Milan fans were expecting big things from their signing, but it wasn't meant to be. Almost instantly, Redondo would pick up injuries that changed the course of his career. On his second day there, he would hurt his right thigh in the treadmill, and then just 2 weeks later, he sprained his knee during training. Initially sidelined for 6 months, Redondo would eventually make his debut for Milan. 3 years later, Milan's owners were furious at the situation. They suspected that Real Madrid had covered up Redondo's risk of injury, and what this meant was that a club investment now became a depreciating asset. The club owner, Silvio Berlusconi, decided that a new approach to players was needed so that this situation could be prevented in the future. So in March 2002, Berlusconi introduced Milan Lab. Milan Lab was the first of its kind. It was a sports research centre dedicated to predicting and preventing player injuries through tracking fitness. It collected information on the player's nervous system and then neurology. The idea was that if they had information on different aspects of the player's lifestyle, they could see injuries before they even happened. A good example of this is Clarence Seedorf. From June 2004 to January 2010, he recorded no injuries. How though? Milan Lab came to the conclusion that his recurring groin injuries would be stopped by removing his wisdom teeth. He ended up retiring at the age of 37. For context as well, Kevin De Bruyne is currently 33, and while he's still a good player, I think we can all agree he's not the player he once was. The proof's in the pudding. A year after introducing Milan Lab, the club would see results on and off the pitch. They'd win the Champions League after beating Juventus, the Coppa Italia after beating Roma over 2 legs, and to top off, they finished third in the league. Off the pitch, they would see the total number of training days lost decrease, so it meant the players were able to train more. The year after, Milan would win the Scudetto by finishing 11 points clear of second place Roma, who were managed by Fabio Capello. In the space of 5 years since introducing Milan Lab, the club would reach its third Champions League final, and in 2007 would get their revenge against Liverpool, who snatched the trophy from them just 2 seasons ago. That Milan team, which would face Liverpool, had the oldest group of players to walk out for a final in the tournament's history. With an average age of 34 and a brace from 33-year-old Inzaghi, it meant that skipper Maldini became the oldest captain in Champions League history to lift the trophy at the age of 38. And Redondo? He'd make his final appearance for Milan in 2004 and retired when he left. He knew that he did not live up to the expectations of Milan fans, and in a gesture of good faith, he asked that the clubs to stop paying his wages until he regains fitness. He even wanted to give back his car and house that Milan gave him as part of his contract, but the club rejected his proposal. I guarantee you don't get footballers like that these days. Just imagine though, that if Redondo never got injured, we might have never seen a team that old and that good. Maldini retired at 41, Cafu and Pirlo at 38, the list just goes on. Sometimes history writes itself in ways that we could never predict.